This is the timeline and evolution of Miranda rights. We will go through 6 cases: Brown versus Mississippi, Escobedo versus Illinois, Miranda versus Arizona, Nix versus Williams, New York versus Quarles, and Salinas versus Texas. We start in 1936, when 3 defendants were prosecuted due to a forced confession. These men were tortured and beaten until they gave a false plea. These black men were discriminated against and prosecuted, so when it came time to fight for their innocence, this became a landmark case. In 1964, Escobedo pled guilty to murder, but before this, he had asked for his counsel to be present. Since this was denied by the officers who he confessed to after they refused to give him counsel, therefore his plea was dropped by the Supreme Court, and he was not charged with murder. In 1966, Ernesto Miranda was arrested for rape and kidnapping, but because he was unaware of his rights, he confessed to the crimes. The Supreme Court thought this to be unconstitutional and overturned his case. Soon Miranda would be retried on other evidence and found guilty of rape. So after this, the Miranda case, your rights must be read to you prior to questioning interrogation.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
Yes.
Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me now?
Yes.
Okay.
In the late 1970s, Williams killed a 10-year-old girl and was coerced into admitting where her body was. Williams's conviction was initially overturned by the Supreme Court in Brewer v. Williams, 1977, because his Sixth Amendment right to counsel was violated. In the early 1980s, Williams was retried. Prosecution argued that a search party would have found the girl's body no matter what, and Williams' confession wouldn't have led to her body's recovery. He was convicted of murder after the trial. A woman told 2 cops she had just been raped by Mr. Quarles. The officers found the suspect and frisked him. Quarles had a holster but no weapon. The officer demanded the whereabouts of the gun before reading any rights to the suspect. The defendant argued he had not been read his rights, therefore, him admitting to the whereabouts of the weapon should be thrown out. But because this could have put others in risk, the Supreme Court made an exception to this rule. Mr. Salinas went to the police station willingly to answer questions about a double homicide. When asked a certain question he refused to answer, his silence was used in court to prove his guilt. The Supreme Court decided you must invoke your right before remaining silent to prevent its resurfacing. Each of these cases, as recent as 11 years ago, would shape your rights today, and without these you might be in a different world from today.